Hey everyone, this is Jonah Johnson with you for another edition of JJ in the Field.
Hey everybody, Jonah Johnson, Sales Agronomist with PCT Sunrise, and today we're here in central Clark County. And a lot of my travels this spring and late summer, middle summer thus far, we're seeing a lot of erratic crops going up and down within stands. You know, if you watch us follow some of our videos earlier on the season, we've seen a lot with hard seed coats, some unidentifiable situations where we're just really not sure why are we having such variance in our corn and soybean emergence. So here in this field, we thought we'd pass some information on to because I'm seeing a lot of repetitive issues with planting depth. So something as simple as seeding depth from your planter where we initiated back in the spring when crops got planted. And so here today, if you look across a lot of these plants that are in front of me, we note that we have all kinds of different growth staging in corn. And when we first started walking into this field, the question was it the hybrid's fault? Was it the planter's fault? You know, what's going on here and why are we seeing these issues? So we decided, let's go dig some plants because something's not right here. You know, and as we first started asking about the planter, we said, you know, this had controlled monitored downforce and it was tilled. So we thought, you know, and it showed fine. Nothing really sticking out to us what the main issue here. So let's dig some plants and we'll show you what we found out here. So as I dig some of these bigger plants that are more healthy, and granted, the ground's very hard here and rain's not been very ample. But as we started looking at some of these plants, the first thing that was somewhat disturbing is planting depth. And if you note, look at this seed compared to where the mesocotyl is, which is this larger white seed, part of the root right there. That's exceptionally shallow. These plants are probably planted anywhere from a 1/4 inch, maybe in some spots an inch, but as a summary, most of these have been planted in that 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And that's rather disturbing for several reasons. So why did this plant go down deeper versus its neighbor? Some of these also, if we dig this guy to the side, you can see the same thing, extremely shallow. Typically for an 1.5 inch planting depth, we should see that mesocotyl extend 3/4 inch down below before the crown sets. So you can note the soil layer was right there. You can note that the plant is trying to make the best of the situation, but because it turned off dry here, roots just did the best they could. And there is some soil moisture here, but what's most concerning to me on some of these plants, so we bring this guy back an example, because where the crown is so shallow to the ground, and the upper 2 inches is very dry and hard, you'll note that there's no nodal roots that are emerging off of this plant yet. So as this plant sits at the soil surface up here very shallowly, if we get a big rain event or a big nasty storm, which is very, very plausible here in the next couple of weeks, we can induce floppy root syndrome where that plant actually lays over because there's no major anchoring of these nodal roots yet. So something as simple as planting depth when we started off back in the spring could have been the easy button if we just checked planting depth. So I've been seeing this again all over the state, and sometimes it's not really well understood why we didn't look into that more. So if you're starting to see this within fields, you know, it just helps you maybe go dig some plants, something as simple as that, to see what was going on in there. So hope that helps. You know, other things that we could possibly see, we've also seen because of shallow depth, we've been seeing where it's at dry, herbicides are imbibing into plants. It's sitting there taking a continual drink of some of these herbicides. And that's why a lot of labels, especially on our group 15s, are wanting those herbicides or wanting those seeds 2 inches deep so they don't have potential interactions with those herbicides. So hope that helped identify maybe a problem you may have this year. Make sure you check that planting depth. For PCT Sunrise, this is Jonah Johnson. Thanks for watching.